Okay, how to trade the day like this when the price action is all over the chart and it is not easy to find an overall larger pattern? Well, the answer is short-term trend lines. It was fairly obvious from this big move down and this leg up that this is going to be a bigger range day on a bigger pattern, because we also could have been trying to find some bigger trend lines working like this. You can be finding the trend lines like this all over the place, and you can see you could be doing this forever, and this is not really the way to do it when the market is, you know, price action structure looking like this. It's all over the place, and because there is never a trend line that is the channel that is big and wide like this, you can see that this is way too large for this time frame. So we need to only start paying focus on the short-term trend lines and focusing on trend line rules and the key entry points. And you can see the days is keep going higher and higher. And this was the larger picture how the day looked. And you can see just big trading range day overall. There are multiple trend lines throughout the day, multiple trends up and down. So the only way to trade this safely and not be overthinking this is to find the short-term trend lines. And for example, like we started trading down lower and we sold off big time. The EMA is pointing straight down lower and the prices are fitting neatly inside of this trend channel line, and you can find this trend channel line fairly easily. And if the prices are fitting neatly like this is your sign that you have the trend line drawn correctly. And you have a new low right here. You have a first entry short, pull back, second entry short. This is according to our rule, second entry short. There is a little bit of room between the EMA, but since we haven't touched EMA in such a long time, and this has been all the way bearish so far, this is a second entry long, and this is as high up as we're gonna get. And this is the first break of this trend line working lower, and you know what we are doing. We are waiting for a new low. So this was the first trade today, second entry short, key entry point, close, sometimes close enough, and you have two legs to a new low, and a lot of times you will get two legs, not just one. And this is what I call a reversal pattern. Take a look at this. We have a new low right here, prices push through the EMA. We have a first entry short right here. We trigger one tick lower above this bar, so this is just a first attempt by the bears to try to continue in a downtrend, but it failed on them, and prices reversed through the EMA. And this is why we use the EMA as an indicator. It is just a supportive indicator for us. It serves as a key entry point and a supportive indicator to tell us how the prices are reacting. And you can see the prices went through the EMA big time right here. We spiked through EMA and we pull back on the EMA. This is a failed second entry short. This is the new low, pull back, first entry, pull back, second entry. Now market moves in twos, and this is a failed second entry short, and this is a reversal pattern. EMA is holding. You can find the trend lines, set it up. So this is just a potential trend line, but this is a reversal pattern. So failed second entry short is enough. Nice big bullish bar, just like we want to see when we are trying to reverse the market. And you can see the move up. And you have to trust the price action. You have to trust the rules, because this might seem quite overwhelmingly bearish for a lot of people. But with a break, two legs to a new and a reversal pattern, you have to be, thinking and trusting the price action. You don't want to be relying on common sense, because common sense is working against you in trading. You can see the trend line working up higher. We touch it a little bit here, but this is just a first entry, and we don't want to take first entries because we want the higher probability set up second entry. So you can continue going higher. Now, once again, we are working lower, so we have to draw the short-term trend line, because this is the only way you're gonna find the trades and find the setup on the day like this. Short-term trend lines, the only way. You're not gonna find a bigger pattern when the day is gigantic like this. The volatility is over the place, so you only need to resort yourself to using short-term trend lines and trust them. Just keep trusting them. This is the big thing with a lot of novice traders. They're having a hard time trusting the rules, because it a lot of times looks counterintuitive. So we are working lower. We have a overshoot right here, and once again, overshoot is probably gonna lead to a break, and once again it happened right here. And a lot of times overshoot going to be measured, which I'm gonna measure right here. Oops, my bad. Measure right here. You can see measured overshoot. You're working lower. You don't want to pick any trades right now. You're most likely looking for longs right here. This is the bigger pattern at this point, but you have to let this correction play out. but you have a first entry long here anyway, and we are waiting for second entry. So you're still waiting for second entry, so you need to let this correction play out. You have a break and a new low, and at this point I first had it like this, and we made a double top right here, double bottom right here. We even made a little bit of resistance right here. So at this point there's some key level forming. There's some key level forming right here, but the more importantly, this is a break and a new low of this bearish correction working lower. So this short-term trend line has played out, so we don't now we don't have to pay attention to this downtrend, to this smaller downtrend, and we can focus going back on this uptrend. And this is, now we get the green light after this has ended, this correction has ended. We have a green light to start looking for longs, and with the double bottom right here at this forming key level, I think this is a good setup to take. And prices rocketed it up from here, and it was very tempted. I was very tempted to take this trade, but you can see there's a, now this is starting to look like a trading range, so I don't want to go long into the resistance, you know, I don't want to lose my money. But this is a new high, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and it looks like it's gonna fail on them, but I actually trapped shorts, and it was so tempting to go long right here, because you will most likely gonna break out of trading ranges in the direction you traded it in. We traded up higher, so most breakouts are going to be higher. But nevertheless, we have to follow the rules and not to go long directly into resistance, even though my gut instinct was telling me to go long here. But you know, I need to stick to my rules. We pushed up higher, we pulled back, tried to get back into the trading range, but the EMA was holding at this point. And you can see, you can find a little bit trend line working up higher. We have a spike and a channel working up higher. And I took a loser right here. I went long right here at the bounce of the trend line. We are a little bit away from the EMA, but more importantly, this spike and a channel, this is just a minor channel, because the main pattern in this section is this bullish correction working up higher. So we have a one leg like this, you have a one leg like this, and you have a second leg that is like this. So you have a trend line working higher, you have a break, two legs, break, and a new high. So it was foolish for me to go long right here, but you know, you never know what's gonna happen. This is a second entry long at the trend line, and yeah, I was trying to take some scalp here. Nevertheless, it was a loser right here. And then we have a reversal pattern working up lower. We pull back to the trend line. You can find the trend line once again, the short-term trend lines. Now that this bullish uptrend has played out, what are we looking? We're looking to the same thing as we're looking right here. Once again, looking for the shorter term trend lines, and now we're in this downtrend. And this pattern is actually very similar to, let me show you guys, to a situation like this. Take a look at the chart right here. We're working lower, first entry, second entry short, double top right here, and we have a similar correction right here. We're working higher, this bullish correction, break, new high. We're working lower right here inside of this trend channel line, first entry short, second entry short, double top. One more time, hopefully you guys can recognize this. We're working lower, first entry short, second entry short, first entry short, second entry short. Very similar. Nothing is going to be exactly the same. Close is close enough in trading. This is the best you're gonna get. The signal bar could have been a little bit better, but the stim on this bar is telling me that at the very close of the bar, a lot of bears jumped into the market and they attempted to push the bar lower and push the prices lower. So if there was a one more tick lower, this would have been nice bearish reversal bar. Not ideal, but not bad either. Kind of like 5 out of 10 signal bar, but there is much more in place. It is a second entry double top, and you're looking for break and a new low, because those are our price action rules. And we're continued going lower at this point, and we kind of sold off big time. Very unexpected at this point. And once again, I'm treating this as a new low. This is new low of this right here. Even though this move seems a little bit small, I think this is still a part of this. And you have a new low right here. So even though it is tempting to go short, what do I have to do? Yes, once again, I have to draw the short-term trend lines on a day like this. If I don't want to have losers, I have to draw the short-term trend lines to keep me on the right side of the market. And we have a second entry short right here. Horrible signal bars still inside of this channel, far away from EMA. You get a third entry short. that is looking nicely, but it is now this trend line has proven to be valid 100%, and you have a fourth entry short. And by the way, that's not a thing. Third entry and fourth entry, that's not a thing. You only want to focus on second entries. This is just kind of a anomaly, but the market sold off here. You have to skip this trade, not according to our rules, not high probability setup. Just because it worked here once doesn't mean it's gonna work again. We sold off, and you can see prices are now reacting to this key level, and this key level was formed right here. You can find the key level at this point, at starting of your day before the open, and you can see the prices are getting into play, reacting to the key level at this point. Now I actually took this trade, and at this point it's starting to look like a downtrend with this move down, because you have a break and a new low. And once we push lower one more time, I was starting to thinking we may get into a downtrend right here, and I wasn't focusing on much on this, even though I probably should have been. I was playing it more like, because if you look at the right side of the chart like this, you can see that this is starting to look downtrendish. You can see we keep continuing going lower and lower, but you can never outsmart the market, and you can never outsmart the price action rules. So this is how I was playing it. Working higher, short-term trend line, break, new high. First entry short, no, it is only first entry. I want a higher probability setup. Second entry short, gigantic bar. I dropped the limit order and I barely got in, and I scalped out successfully from this trade. But I just want to keep the transparency, what kind of trades I am taking and what's going through my mind when I trade. Just like I took this little right here. So this is not a good setup in hindsight, but like I showed you, looking back, the downtrend, and this is the common sense just coming back at me, and because this is looking very bearish, very nicely, but market doesn't care about my common sense and what I've learned in life. Market only cares about how the market operates, and the market right now is forming the key level, and I need to pay attention to the key level, not what I've learned in life and relying on common sense. And trading, and there's a trading range forming. This is a congestion, big congestion, consolidation. Nobody really knows where the market is going to go right now, and a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines here, and you want to skip this trade. This is absolutely no trade zone by any means, because going short here looks tempting, going long looks tempting, and even though the trading range here is big enough, you can take the buys or failed breaks higher or lower, fade the breakouts. I really recommend you skipping this sideways correction, because EMA is in the middle of those bars. It's flat, we're going sideways. Just skip this. You're gonna get chopped to pieces inside of this. And we broke higher, attempted to make it back, and we just kept continuing working up higher and higher, and for no reason we are rallying up higher big time here. And you can see this is a very difficult to get in according to our rules, because there's just a bunch of first entries working up higher and higher. And this is what's going to happen when the market is steep like this and the channel isn't that big. There's not enough room for the prices. Most likely you're just going to get a bunch of first entries, and if you're uncomfortable with this, you just want to stay out of this. But as I'm looking at this, there might be some sort of bigger pattern that looks like this. It kind of spiked a little bit and then went to this channel. We just want to have to keep playing around with the trend lines, and I think this might look valid. Nevertheless, the EMA is pointing up higher, and this is straight up bullish trend, and we don't want to counter trend this at all. So once again, this is what the day looks like after all the price action that happened, and you can see the volatility picked up going to the holiday season. And I wasn't really expecting this, because normally, the market's going to be dead around Christmas. This is probably one of the last few days that we might get some price action and some volatility. But it's very hard to find a big pattern, because like I said, you could be drawing the trend lines all over the place. Focus on the short term ones. They will help you. Trust me, they will help you, and they will keep the market much more clear to you. Alright, so I'm gonna put my my runner all the way up here. I'm gonna put my stop loss one tick below this hidden bar. This is the new high. First entry long, second entry long. This is a huge uptrend. Prices, we didn't even touch EMA. Last time since we touched EMA was right here. There was two almost a little bit over 2 hours ago, and we didn't even make it to the EMA. This is very bullish, very strong, and this is very difficult to trade for a lot of people, because when the day like this, we may not even get to the key entry point. So I'm going to show you guys a trade that is a little bit harder to take for novice traders. All right, prices are breaking up higher. Maybe we can see the trap, because when a trend is strong like this, remember guys, the trend makes pullbacks that look weak, look like they're gonna fail, but they keep winning and winning, and they keep going higher and higher. And they trend like this keeps making corrections, is making counter trend trades very tempting. Every one of these counter trend trades is looking so tempting. This is why it's failing on them all the time, because this is the way the trend works. So remember, all the pullbacks are looking weak and like they're gonna reverse anytime, and all the counter trend trades are looking very nice and very strong, like market is about to reverse right now. But when the EMA is pointing up higher this time, this is such a strong trend, you're not gonna get close to the key entry point. This is one exception. You're just not gonna get close to key entry points like this. We only touched key entry point right here. Since then, we kept continuing going higher. A little bit of touches here from the trend line, but not even close to EMA. We're bouncing with my exit order. We need to touch. We have to push one tick above this. My target profit. It's not enough for me to touch, for prices to touch the target profit, and looks like prices are stalling now a little bit, and we keep going higher. Come on, let's go one more tick, and we pushed higher. So I'm gonna put my runner right here, and I'm gonna pause the video.